golfers, welcome to Finding Fairways here on Up North Sports Radio and our Up North Sports Radio YouTube page and Facebook page. It is our Masters Week special, and of course, our great co-host Dan Pohl joining us from the Polecat. Hey Dan, what hole is that behind you? That's 17 at your place?
I do believe you're looking at number 17 when we had the Erie sand and at the early portion of it. Now we've redone the bunkering a little bit and kind of split those just from the standpoint of being able to, manicure them correctly and that. But yeah, that's 17 sitting behind us.
Yeah, 16, 17, 18, great finishing holes at the Polecat. Hard to have a lot of money on the line if you're not confident with your iron game, sir.
Very true. I would add 15 in there also as a short par 4 that you have to put a couple of, keep it in play and then hit a good little wedge shot. So yeah, I would rank it up as one of the, one of these finishing areas that you got a good variety of hole locations that you can put those on. But yeah, I think well, I'm kind of partial, as you know, to all 18, but I would say the finish will pucker you up when necessary.
They're like your children, aren't they? Every hole is fantastic.
So not all the time though. If you make a 7, it might not be your favorite. Or there's times we have to.
We saw
that.
You
had a good win. You had a good winner. I know this is the first time I've had a chance to get you. Obviously, Masters weekend, we always love it. But heck, if you're watching Golf Channel and you're doing all that, you got so much information, you're flooded. And so, what we can add to the mix is more on a personal side. And, I look forward to kind of going over a few of the things that I already started talking about when it comes to the golf course. And one of the things they will be talking about this week specifically is the weather. And it'll be the first time it appears that they won't have any moisture in the week. So it'll be very interesting to see how Augusta wants to set it up speed-wise and firmness of the greens, and it could prove to be very interesting watching some of those iron shots come into those greens.
Yeah, that was probably the biggest topic during the press conferences that I saw snippets of yesterday, as you referenced on the Golf Channel. Today, they're going to show the par 3. We're recording this on Wednesday. And, as they keep saying, with the sub-air and everything that Augusta can put their fingers on, they can make this golf course as dangerous as they'd like to. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting because normally when you get the heavy rains in or you get the moisture, even though you got the sub-air, it's still going to react a little bit different. Whether or not they have a couple of hole locations that they may add to the mix or take away because of that, some of the front pins will be difficult if you can't get it on the first check to check up.
Right.
You're going to be able to run some balls back to some of the holes, but some of the front pin placements could be interesting if you can get the ball to, let's just say it's going to be very difficult to get the ball below the hole, which is what you have to do there to get good opportunities of birdies. Not that there's going to be, there's always going to be the way these guys attack most of the flags. If you're hitting your iron shots good, you're going to get opportunities. But I think it will be interesting to see whether they change a couple of those. The front pin on 15, some of those where they haven't used them in the past as much. And with it firm, heck, you hit it over the green and you chip it back in the water. So there could be some interesting chipping, and I think the guys will have to do a little bit of negotiating that and changing a little bit of their strategies.
The practice rounds, Dan, generally speaking, the Masters will put dots on the 4 locations of the greens during the practice rounds. Isn't that right?
Well, they normally will. Again, that's up to the discretion of them. That most of the guys know pretty much where they're going to be. If you're a first-time player, does it really help you? You can find spots on the greens that you didn't even practice from. All of a sudden you're hitting chips from the right side of number 11 and the pin is in a certain spot, and then all of a sudden you miss it either long of that or short of that, and the angles create such a different shot that you have to play that you end up overthinking sometimes. We know there that your misses are critical. Most of the guys that have played there a lot, they know where not to miss it. Not that you have to hit the perfect shot, but don't miss it in these locations. And if round the greens, not just the greens themselves, but the complexes are firming up and the ball is releasing away from those, you could have some kind of downhill shots into the, going up over those ridges and trying to check it up. So, what they've done in the past, and I know that a lot of guys really now know about the bounce of the sand wedges and stuff like that, and they've always played soft. Well, in soft conditions, you need a little bit more bounce on your sand wedges. On harder conditions, you need a little bit less. So it'll be very interesting to see whether or not the guys maybe adjust their wedge combinations as the week goes on to do that, and also whether or not again, I think number 9 holes like that those front pins is going to be tough to get at, because if you hit it a little short, it's coming back down the hill. So
yeah,
I look to see a lot of guys shaking their heads, going, "Whoa, I didn't, never had that shot before."
With the potential for super fast conditions, will this be an instance where a lot of guys will bail into bunkers to be able to get the ball close?
Good question. Obviously, guys prefer to have a bunker shot on, 18 or somewhere like that, depending on where the pin is. I don't think guys will bail. I think if you get a hole like number 7 and you happen to hit it in the woods and you can get it into the front bunker, that might be the play, rather than leaving it short of that and then trying to hit that little tight shot over the bunker to get it to spin. So I think there are situational things that you will find, but notoriously guys don't, play into bunkers unless it's a real necessity. And you just don't get in that many situational things there on the golf course where you are aiming at that. 7 being one of them. You might look at a hole like number, I think 11, if you hit it in the trees right, but there isn't any greenside bunkers to speak of. It's just going to be where you want to pitch from. And so I'll just be interested to see how the ball rolls out, see whether it gives the mid-range player a little bit more advantage of getting the roll out versus the full carry guys. We always know that the high ball hitter with the tee off the tee is going to get a little bit of advantage, but it's not going to be as much as if the other guy's hitting a 9-iron or a wedge versus you hitting a sand wedge or a lob wedge. That's too tight of a distance. But if you're 7-iron to 9-iron, that's a big difference in how you can spin those. So I'll be very interested to see if the ball is releasing out on holes like 2, if you draw it down that hill, if it continues to take the slope and go, or whether they'll put a little bit of water on it themselves to soften up some of those hit areas.
When we come back, I want to ask you, did you see any of the highlights from the women's amateur and what happened on number 12?
I did. It was
all right.
Kind of tough, but tough to watch, but it does happen.
Yeah, it was an interesting example of what can happen on that golf course. So we'll continue our discussion with Dan Pohl about this coming Masters, having such tremendous experience on playing that golf course. All that and more here on Up North Sports Radio's Finding Fairways, brought to us by BoyneGolf.com. Time to check in with our good friends at Boyne Golf. Ken Griffin is at some convention somewhere where Boyne is winning another award. How are you, Ken?
No, good, Jerry, and thanks. But no, actually, we're here just promoting golf in Michigan. I'm at the Pure Michigan Governors Conference on Tourism, and I figure that if the major players in golf in Michigan aren't here pounding the ground on how important golf is to this state and the travel business, then we should be. So that's why we're here. it's Masters, which means we're going to have Masters week, which means it's spring, which means, soon we're going to be on the courses and we'll have some tee times. But first, for those that missed the news last week, we'll talk about, yes, the fact that, that the Petoskey area won the number 5 golf destination in U.S. UP was number 1, that Boyne Golf won the number 3 golf resort in the United States, and a couple of public courses in Michigan won, had awards. So yes, a lot of great golf, and we're here to try and represent that. So
yeah, it's well, you also mentioned Masters Week. Every night I come home, turn on in live from the Masters. Can't wait for the tournament to start. But there's another good reason to be paying attention to the Masters.
Well, we always have master specials, and once again this year we do. We have tee time specials this year on the Heather. Those will and both of these specials will start in early May, run through the end of July.
Yep.
The Heather, okay, our championship course of championship courses where the Epson Tour plays and where the numerous Michigan amateurs have been. You can get that for $95 Sunday through Thursday from noon to 4, and then there's a $35 Dune Bray tee time as well. So whether you're playing the Heather on that special or whether you're playing one of the other courses, you can play the new 9-hole short course while you're there.
Yeah, but that's a limited window, isn't it, Ken?
Well, you have to book by April 16th. Okay,
right.
That's
what
a
I
limited
meant.
booking window, but you play from May 2nd to July 30th. So if you're planning on being in the area, you have the opportunity to take advantage of those specials. So.
And then the opening schedule, if people missed it from last week, why don't you give when the courses start popping open for the locals?
So we're doing our best. Well, local or somebody wants to come visit, we have hotel rooms, but is going to be April 24th. Okay. And then the following week, the plan is to open the Arthur Hills, the Arthur Hills, Crooked Tree and the Alpine down at Boyne Mountain. And then the following week, roll up on May 8th, the rest of the 18-hole courses.
Yeah, that's coming right around the corner. We're very excited about it. Can't wait to get out on the links with you, Ken, and some of my buddies. Where do people find all these great tee times, accommodations, and the great golf experiences available at Boyne?
Well, we hope they've already gotten an email by the time they hear this. If not, they can, go to our landing page, go to boynegolf.com, or go to any one of our social media accounts, because we've been talking about it for a couple of days there too. So you can find a way to get in and get these specials, be it Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram. You'll find the specials on all of them.
There you go. You're going to have a great time. It's going to be a fantastic golf season this year, Ken. Thanks for checking in, and go pound the pavement for Northern Michigan golf.
We're going to do our best, Jerry.
Imagine your ultimate golf experience. There's a good chance it's Michigan's Magnificent 11. 11 spectacular courses from Boyne Golf, varied in both topography and play. Boyne Golf was named the #1 best golf destination in USA Today Reader's Choice 2025. And the Highlands at Harbor Springs is the #2 golf resort in that same USA Today poll. The ultimate golf experience. That's Michigan's Magnificent 11.
Ian Murphy from the Iron Pig here. We spent a lot of time reinventing our space in downtown Gaylord. How long has it been since you were really excited about a cocktail and dining experience? Visit Prohibition on Main Street in Gaylord. Open 4 to 10 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday. The adventure begins as soon as you walk in the door. Magical house-made cocktails, unique and savory small plates you won't find anywhere else. Explore Prohibition.com and seriously shake up your social life.
Welcome back to Finding Fairways here on Up North Sports Radio, our YouTube and Facebook pages. You can see us video-wise there, and of course, hearing us on the radio network. Jerry Coyne continuing his discussion with the great Dan Pohl from the Polecat. We're supposed to be opening day today, but it's 26 degrees.
Well, we're here, but nobody's really. They're calling for Saturday. I think we're going to have some mid temperatures in the 60s, maybe Friday and Saturday. So But you got to prepare it like it's ready. I mean, the maintenance staff's been out there. We've got to mow on the greens. We're getting the bunkers kind of edged a little bit, and so we'll just have to play it out. You just never know in middle. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, Jerry, just real quickly, we've never, in my time here, we've never opened before April 10th, ever. You know, I mean, maybe, you know, because you just don't know. You don't open it up and then have to close it again. So
Yeah.
it's very consistent with what we've been doing, is sometime between the 10th and the 15th is not a bad date to be open anyway. But we'll get some calls and see if the weather changes, and we'll get them out there.
Well, it's one thing, you know, I hate to call some places dog tracks, but they'll open up under any conditions and guys will go out and play, and that's fine. But when you have a highline golf course like the Polecat, you have a premature opening and do some serious damage to the greens, especially.
Yeah, you know, the par 3 tee box is what usually get hit, you know, because it takes a long time for them
Yeah.
to recondition. It's almost like, hey, is there any way we could put some AstroTurf or something out there and let people hit off it until it gets warm enough? But you got to be careful. I mean, we'll use, you know, certain areas of the tee box, let them get beat up a little bit, but you know, that's the nature of the beast here. You just got to be ready for it. And, you know, the first thing we get calls is what's your price, you know, and that's, everybody wants a deal, but the bottom line is the costs are still the same pretty much for us. We'll start out this first few weeks at about $59 and give them a
That's
good
a deal.
experience.
That is a deal.
Have the golf course ready to go, not be just a shabby thing to go out and play, but really be able to feel like you can go out and have a decent round of golf. Otherwise, I won't open it. And I've already talked to the other owners, and I said, listen, you know, we just don't want to do that. We don't want.
It's not worth it.
No,
Yeah.
it isn't. Not at all.
Yeah. Speaking of the nature of the beast, like we were referencing, that women's amateur, which was a fantastic idea, a great addition to Augusta and leading up to the tournament. The young lady who was leading, I'm sorry, I don't remember her name, hit it in the back bunker, actually got a break, came down off the slope into the bunker, because if she's up on that hill, that's impossible up there. And that the pin is kind of, what is it? Right front.
Well,
And
it's kind
she
of right
just hit
middle.
a-
She had plenty of room to hit the shot, but
She
you know,
did
it's
have
a
plenty
tough
of room.
shot. Yeah, she got a
But-
great break when it first started out. I was Tally something, or you know, because she had played in the LPGA event the week before in
And
Phoenix.
she's an amateur still, right?
Yes, and had done really well. And so,
Yeah.
you know, here's the deal. You know, she obviously technique wise didn't. I mean, you don't flatten that sandwich movement back to create any elevation on your shot. I don't know if she was trying to hit it in the bank and kill it, and it didn't do it, and it just released. That's one thing. You know, you technique, bad shot, whatever. But when she decided to drop it back in the bunker, that to me was just it was either a challenge for her to say, I can hit this shot and I'm not going back across, or she didn't feel comfortable dropping it back over there, 75 yards away. But when she did that, I thought she'd chunk it in the bunker or leave it there. I mean, that's just the next move is to get a little.
Exactly. Right.
But if you go back to her technique, and you can't analyze critique, she's 17 years old or whatever it is, or 20, it doesn't matter. Never been in that situation before. That's a scary shot for anybody. But having somebody there, I thought, as a caddy that would have said, you might want to rethink this. Before you drop that ball in the bunker, let's go over there. You got a good lie and just a soft sand
You get
wedge.
to place it on the hill. Yeah. At least you're going to not hit it back in the water again. I mean, that's impossible. So.
And she gets it up and down from there. Unfortunately, at that point, the blood had drained from her face, and obviously on national television, in front of everybody that you love and that are excited for you and everything else, it just happens. we've all been, if you're going to play professional golf, there's going to be good and bad and
You're going to
everything
play
you do.
competitive golf. You're going to,
exactly.
you're going to get kicked in the teeth. And, like it's a perfect example of kind of Rory's round on the last day last year where, he had some unbelievable mistakes, but was able to clear the mechanism to continue to move forward, hit that great shot on 15 and get into the playoff. I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen a more emotionally agonizing round to watch than what we saw last year.
Well, I think the other one, when he duck hooked it out of bounds on 10, it would be more of an unnatural shot. I mean, listen, everybody hits bad shots, but I've stood on number 10 and I didn't know really there was an out of bounds over there left. So obviously I'm cutting it into the tree to the right or whatever. I got a better chance of knocking somebody out down the right side. But, and then to have, literally 6 holes to play that are scoring holes. I think she did a good job of keeping her composure. She birdied the next hole? She birdied 13. Yeah. And then, hung in, but I think it just took so much out of her. And who knows? I mean, she could have been still tired. It was 100 and some degrees out in Phoenix. Not a teenager or should be tired, but mentally playing with the pros for, 4 or 5 days out in Arizona and being relatively up there for a while. But you just feel for, individuals like that, but you also, how you handle the diversity is gonna make or break you. I think, if the way it sounded like, I didn't hear a lot of the follow up to it, but she seemed to handle it pretty well. And, the old saying, shit happens, that's what you got to kind of deal with.
Well, a lot of tournaments have been lost and not won. Mm-hmm. And Jack used to hang around and let's see what's going to happen to these guys in front of me. Tiger won. How many tournaments did Jack and Tiger win because the guys in front of them on the last day couldn't stand the heat in the kitchen? And you're slipping on. Another green jacket's going on you.
Well, the other thing that you think about now, I mean, it's an afterthought, is that as good as the gal that won it played, she'd had to, even if she makes a bogey or a double. She's still got some catch up to do. I mean, the girl shoots 14 under, and I think this young lady finished like 8. So, I mean, obviously she made some bogeys. You would have loved to have been in the mix, but if you've been at Augusta, in that situation, all those finishing holes except maybe 17 have, as far as bigger numbers on them, it's there for the taking. But like I said, I enjoyed watching it for the fact that they had a great crowd. They had, people were watching and, what other, if you couldn't get in to see the Masters itself, to walk around there and be, I enjoyed it. Like I said, you feel for her, but, that's golf.
That's golf. And, happening at this young age of her career is probably going to serve her well. Not, your first, second chance at a major and, and to wet the bed so badly. A lot of players never come back from that.
Very true. And, if I was getting something from it, I would look at the number 1 player in the world past on the ladies tour, Nelly Korda, has given away or had an opportunity at 3 or 4 tournaments. It might be 1 or 2 swings, it might be 1 or 2 shots. But if you see one of the best players in the world still struggling to win events as an amateur, to me, that's or anybody, that's just a wake-up call that it's not easy. And when one of the best players struggles down the stretch, literally she could have won 4 times already, playing against another, got matched up with the wrong person in 2 tournaments, but playing in the last group, making a couple of mistakes coming in, it happens.
When we come back, Dan and I will discuss one of his best friends on tour from long days ago, Fuzzy Zoeller, passed away. A great player. I know a good friend of yours. I know I wanted to talk about Fuzz, the only guy ever to still win the Masters on his first time about. That and a whole bunch more here on Up North Sports Radio's Finding Fairways, brought to us by Wild Bluff Golf Course at Bay Mills Casino.
Quit wasting time putting around and meet us at Wild Bluff Golf Course in Brimley, Michigan. Wild Bluff is a championship golf course with breathtaking views overlooking Lake Superior, with a full-length driving range, chipping area, and large putting green. Visit our fully stocked pro shop for featured golf apparel and equipment, or come to the loft to wine and dine like a pro. Like us on Facebook or visit baymillscasinos.com for more information. Your fairway to heaven starts here.
Who knew? Fresh air is a destination. Breathe in the glacial carved canvas of northern Michigan's finest golf courses and have your breath taken away by scenic vistas from tee to green. The perfect place to perfect your game in more ways than one. The waves, woods, and wonder of Bel Air. Escape every day. Discover the magic of 90 holes at one resort. Shanty Creek Resort in Bel Air and online at shantycreek.com.
Twin Birch Golf Club in Kalkaska is preparing for a spectacular golf season, and you should too. The Twin Birch Clubhouse restaurant has quickly become a local favorite, with a lunch, dinner, and weekend brunch menu full of classic favorites, made with the freshest ingredients. See all the affordable membership options at twinbirchgolf.com, or save even more when you purchase Twin Birch Golf at qdealsmi.com. qdealsmi.com. See one of Northern Michigan's greatest golf values at twinbirchgolf.com.
Welcome back to Finding Fairways here on Up North Sports Radio, our Facebook and YouTube page, and our radio network across the state. WGRY, Dan Pohl on our Masters special. And Dan, I had kind of forgotten that Fuzzy passed away, around Thanksgiving last year, and it came up. It happened at a bad time. There's no golf going on, so there's really not a lot of coverage about, one of the truly great characters ever in golf history.
Yeah, it was tough to hear about it. I knew that he had been struggling to a degree and had something, preceding this, but it was just a major stroke, I guess, right at Thanksgiving. But had a lot of great times with Fuzz. I mean, not only did he come into Mount Pleasant to be involved with the Polecat benefit many times, brought Chi-Chi and him and John Mahaffey and Greg Powers and guys came in, and we raised a lot of money here in Mount Pleasant area for our local junior golf program. But we were on the same staff for a long time, Fuzz and
I know that, yeah.
Along with Hubert Green and John Mahaffey and those guys. And I played most of my practice rounds. My first year I played in 82 with Fuzzy and John and Hubert. We were all max fly guys, and I learned so much not only about the golf course, probably as much from Hubert and Mahaffey as I did from Fuzz. Fuzz and I hit it similar. I was longer than him, but we were still much longer than both of them. But the idea of where not to miss it and where to come into certain shots, and Hubert Green was probably some of the greatest touch with the clubs, with the hands low and got that club underneath the ball real quickly. And so I learned a lot from them. We also did the rap video. I mean, if you go back and get the Dunlop rap video, which our guys here see every once in a while. Fuzzy was on that with Mahaffey and Bob Murphy and guys like that. So, the encore stuff was involved with like the Merrill Lynch shootouts and stuff. They used to take the 10 top players, and we'd do a shootout. And it was Payne Stewart, Fuzzy, and, all of us guys, Peter Jacobson, we just have a great time. Where I remember, more of the Fuzzy is at his own event. He had a big event down at Covered Bridges in Indiana, there where he's from. I did a ton of charity events. Him and I and Chi-Chi and we did things for Fort Ord for the 7th Infantry Division out in when we were at the AT&T. We'd go over to the fort and we'd do clinics and stuff for the infantry. So had a lot of off the course stuff, where we just enjoyed the company. I understood, Diane, and that hit him pretty hard when she started to get a little ill. And you just see guys now at 74, that's too young. I mean, I just turned 71 and I feel like I'm still got a lot moving forward. That made me, and, we all know that Fuzzy, had a little bit too much to drink quite a few times. That's kind of what made him, I don't know that the worst thing that he ever did was get Fuzzy vodka. I'm sure it was a good deal for him, and it was a heck of a marketing package that you did. I don't know that it helped him in his long-term health as much as it needed to be. But, so many positive things, so many great memories. And, when you see something like that happen, the same way with Andy Bean when he passed away a few years ago. And we're just seeing guys that, Chi-Chi, that made the game what it is. I hope that they run some of the footage this week, not only just the Masters itself, but some of the other things that he had done, and forget about the deal with Tiger and what happened there. That's, that was a mistake. Everybody knows it. But just to give the guy the accolades that he deserves for being, taking the tour and, kind of carrying it along fun-wise,
Hard to believe he's not in the Golf Hall of Fame. 2 majors, 10 wins. That should be enough to get in. Probably, one sentence made off the record that was recorded will probably keep him forever out of that. But I had a chance to meet him a couple of times. I played Covered Bridge, and it was almost the exact same experience like you get at Bay Hill with Arnold there. Arnie was almost always on property. The 2 times I played Bay Hill, ran into Arnold. I have an Arnold Palmer story. I got a Fuzzy Zoeller story from Covered Bridge as well. He loved that place. He loved talking to people about their experience there. The golf experience, the hospitality experience. It meant the world to him. And I know you feel it the exact same way at the Polecat.
Yeah, and I'll give you just a quick story on Fuzzy's place, Covered Bridge. He used to do this event. It was it was the Wolf's Challenge, I think is what they called it there. He'd bring in all the golfers, and Payne came in, and Payne was coming in from Vancouver and he had just finished top 5, and he was playing harmonica that night, and everybody was partying, having a good time because the next day was the fun atmosphere. I was doing some, I think it was Fox Sports or something way back when, and I did a little interview with Payne. Last time I ever saw him. They had gone from the Shark Shootout. He had went back home, and then he was flying to Houston when his plane went down. So I have great memories of not only Fuzzy and we went on with him, and the amount of friendships he delayed. If that was like, I would say around his golf course there, Covered Bridge, more home sites were built because of their friendships with Fuzzy. And all of down the first and second holes when you played it were all guys that I got to know very well through so many different arenas. So I've got so many great other memories. The Maryland, some of the shootouts, some of the skills challenges, some of the skins games, those type of things. We were always like this tight and just had a great time together. And I was hurt, pretty deep when I heard that he had passed, and hadn't had a chance, like Payne, like Andy, like those guys. You're away from them for a while, and you just don't get a chance to say goodbye.
I didn't know. Did they have a memorial for him down there? I didn't see any news of that. I remember when it first happened, and a lot of people don't have a funeral or a memorial right away. They let people get it together. But you indicated his wife had passed away, and I don't know what they ever did about it. So
yeah, I haven't heard that either. And so and there's some guys that don't need that. I don't know if he got to say his goodbyes prior to that. Obviously, I don't think he did, because it seemed like it was a fairly quick deal. So yeah. I don't know if it was a situation where Fuzz would just say, kind of like me, just burn me up and put me in a thing and, let me go.
Throw me in the 7th bunker.
throw me wherever. Float me down the 17th hole. I like that look around there. Just have me floating out there on a tube or something. But yeah, great right. Guy.
We've got this on tape, Dan. That's what we're going to do.
I've already told my kids, I said, you can keep whatever you want. But as far as throw little ashes out there, put a little bobber in there around the 17th curve, drop me some ashes in a bobber, just let me go.
Hang out there for the rest of the time.
Exactly.
Yeah. God bless Fuzzy. I mean, I'll never forget the two tournaments that he had, beating Norman in the U.S.
Yeah.
Open, and then their great face-off in the Players, where Norman couldn't be stopped, but Fuzzy was breathing down his neck the whole time. Man, when Fuzzy was on, boy, he hit it close. His proximity, he'd get scary good sometimes.
He got good because he was the type of guy, he's a sweeper, and
Yep.
in the conditions allowed him to not create negative spin or more spin, or, you could reduce it. A lot of guys have that knack of being able to sweep that ball off. So you're not making the ball too much or too less, very consistent. But yeah, his ball flight was perfect for certain holes, and it just was a situation where when he was on good time, but he just enjoyed that outside life too. So can't fault him for that. Can't fault him for that at all.
God bless Fuzzy Zoeller. I know I wanted to talk about it. Came into my head yesterday, and I know you were a good close friend.
Yeah.
When we return, we'll take a hard look at what the favorites might look at, and Dan will always have some pick that I never heard of before to win the Masters.
I don't know who that would be.
Back after these on Finding Fairways, brought to us by BoyneGolf.com.
Imagine your ultimate golf experience. There's a good chance it's Michigan's Magnificent 11. 11 spectacular courses from Boyne Golf, varied in both topography and play. Boyne Golf was named the #1 best golf destination in USA Today Reader's Choice 2025. And the Highlands at Harbor Springs is the #2 golf resort in that same USA Today poll. The ultimate golf experience. That's Michigan's Magnificent 11.
Ian Murphy from the Iron Pig here. We spent a lot of time reinventing our space in downtown Gaylord. How long has it been since you were really excited about a cocktail and dining experience? Visit Prohibition on Main Street in Gaylord. Open 4 to 10 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday. The adventure begins as soon as you walk in the door. Magical house-made cocktails, unique and savory small plates you won't find anywhere else. Explore Prohibition.com and seriously shake up your social life.
The golf season for 2026 is already open at Grandview Golf Club. Their state-of-the-art TrackMan simulators are so realistic your game won't skip a beat. Call 231-258-3244 to book an hour in the brand new bar and clubhouse. Play the most iconic golf courses in the world without the cost or travel. Grandview Golf Club is putting their Winter Golf League together right now. Hit some balls, have some drinks and great food, and play golf year-round at Grandview Golf Club.
It's time to check in with our friends at Wild Bluffs Golf Course at Bay Mills Resort and Casino. Matt Phipps still on the 12th green at Augusta. Very exciting. I guess you're on vacation, Matt. How much of the time will be spent watching the Masters?
As much as possible.
Yeah.
My favorite one of the lots.
Yeah, I know there's great things and there's some things that can be annoying about having a golf facility in the UP, and now it's just Mother Nature's time to clean the golf course, right?
That's right. Just waiting on the white stuff to go away and let it dry out a little bit so we can get a mower on it and get to it.
Yeah, that's a good question, Matt. Real briefly, how long after the snow has gone off the golf course does it take you to get it ready for play?
Generally about 3 weeks. That whole first week is pretty much just letting it all drain. There's so much snow, so much water that comes off there into the runoff creeks and whatnot. It takes usually about a full week just to kind of dry out. So we spend that first week picking up sticks and kind of the winter damage kind of thing, and then again, as soon as it's dry enough, we'll get the mowers out and get it strapped up and get to it.
We were talking just before we recorded this. The general window since you've been there to open has been what?
As early as late April, as late as maybe that second week of May, something like that. We
Okay.
always shoot for May the 1st, but again, that's all weather dependent. This year, it's definitely going to be the at least that end of that first week, if not the end of that second week in May there.
Any do you guys have early season rates up there? So if people are
We
looking
do.
to check into the hotel, okay, run that down pretty quick.
Yeah, we got spring rates through the month of May. We'll kick into to end season, peak season rates, if you will, on June the 1st. So yeah, it's $60, $60 for 18 holes in a cart there in the month of May.
Does that include Memorial Day weekend?
It does. Yep. We do.
Okay,
not,
well there
we
you
do
go.
Not raise the price there. Yep.
Yeah, you might want to target that, folks, especially with the brand new hotel. And one last question before I let you get to go to watch the par 3 contest. Any plans for the golf course? Any projects? You know,
yeah, we're always making improvements where we can. Last few years we've been working on the tee boxes, leveling those out. You know, the course is was it 2026, so going on 27 years now that place has been open. So as much snow comes and goes, the ground shifts a little bit, especially on those tee boxes. So we've been trying to chip away at those, getting them leveled back out, and get them looking nice again. Built a few new tee boxes as well.
Matt, if people aren't familiar with the golf course, you got a lot of lovely pictures. It's right on the Bay Mills website.
Yes, sir.
What's that
plenty
website
of good views,
address,
plenty
sir?
of good pictures on there.
Yeah.
Baymillscasino.com.
There you go.
We'll take you to all of our stuff, and yeah, they just click on Wild Bluff from there.
Matt, we'll check in with you next week. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy your vacation.
Thanks, Jerry. Talk to you soon.
All right, we'll be back after these words from our fine partners on Up North Sports Radio's Finding Fairways, brought to us by Bay Mills Resort and Casino. Welcome back to Finding Fairways here on Up North Sports Radio, our YouTube and Facebook channels, and our golf radio network. Dan Pohl at the Polecat and Jerry Coyne. Dan, I know Scheffler hasn't had the greatest of years so far. I don't know how much the impending birth of his second child is kind of factored into that. He's been mortal, I guess, for lack of a better term. His driving's been a little suspect. I know he's the favorite. Is he the winner?
Well, again, I finished third twice after birth of two of my children in Milwaukee, and so I never use that as an excuse, especially at a golf course that fits everything about the way he plays. So, and I wouldn't say that he's played absolutely terrible. I'd say the guys that were playing in front of him were doing pretty dang good. So you can always say that when a Fitzpatrick gets hot and starts moving forward, how do you start to push a little bit? There's courses, Batia, manhandled really Bay Hill to a degree where, and those aren't easy courses to keep your game up, especially if you're struggling just a little bit. So I can see him still be the favorite. My guess is that, if he's in the mix, his first 2 rounds are going to dictate a little bit of where he's at and how he can move forward, although he hasn't had great starting rounds.
That was the point I wanted to make, is that's what's killed him. Shooting over par day one, just about every tournament he's been in.
Well, I hate to say that this is a wide open board, because when you look at it and you look not only on the side of, with Cameron Young playing real well, and he's still only 24-1 or something like that. He's not up as high as I thought he would be. Alberg has a great track record, but he hasn't been finishing strong. So, can you put him up there where he says, you still got such a good mix of live players coming that, gosh, you might expect Patrick Reed to hang in there for a while just because of his tenacity, guys like that. But, I really like Fitzpatrick, just just the confidence. When you ride confidence, it's going to be really good. He's driving the ball pretty well. He's shown that he can play fast courses like U.S. Open courses pretty well. Cameron Young might be more through the air than, on the ground, and he hits the high flight ball. I don't know if on all cases that's going to give him an advantage.
He's got a putt. His putting is so indifferent.
Well, exactly, and that's the only thing that you would say might, his ball striking is going to be as good as anybody's most likely. It doesn't mean that. But then you look way down the pack. I mean, there's just a whole list of guys I put down there. I mean, you got a sentimental favorite and still Gary Woodland as far as could he follow up a great win in Houston with a decent deal. Rose is playing good. Scheffley's playing good. But I looked, down the way down, if you're just a betting person on something, Dustin Johnson, 260 to 1. I mean, are you interested in somebody that has
no, I'm not.
Game in it? Well, I know you're not interested, but I say if you're a betting
DJ
person.
Is just he just seems so checked out to me. I mean, he hasn't even won on Live.
Yeah, but if it's kind of like Mickelson could have been playing like crap and come to Augusta and do well.
Yeah.
There's a whole Spieth could be playing like, terrible and come to Augusta. There's something that brings it out in him. So all it takes is 1 or 1.5 rounds to kind of get in the feel with that. And Dustin's never been a great, terrible or bad weather player. He's kind of showed that at Oakmont and some of, when you get bad weather, but you get straightforward weather where he can, dominate a little bit with his game. Who knows? You normally go, and say iron players. I mean, you go to Morikawa and guys like that you consider the top iron players out there, but then he's not in what I would call great form.
Well, he's got a bad back. I don't even think he's fully committed. He said earlier this week, I'm trying to get my back in shape. If I can't go, I can't go.
It's a tough one to look outside of the box, and what's interesting, and I said this on another, little podcast that I did, that there's so many names being thrown around, and two of them that aren't thrown around much anymore are Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth, who used to be those two names that everybody kind of, okay, where are they at? How are they playing, everything else? But guys that can fly under the radar and get through, maybe unscathed, with the pressure and stuff, and all of a sudden they get out there. But just to me, you still got to look. I still got to look in McIlroy and Rahm and Scheffler's way. It's just very difficult to go against the quality of shots that they hit. There's not a lot of guys on any tour that we've ever played on that can hit it okay and still score. They don't have to have 24 putts to shoot 68. And these guys are those type of players. They'll hit enough greens. They might not hit it close all the time, but if they can stay away from some 3 putts, or put it in the correct spots, then they're always going to be there. So, I mean, again, if you're looking for an all-out winner, I mean, I
want to see a couple of guys that pull a Dan Pohl, like this Gotterup kid, won a couple of times. He played really good at the end of the last year. I don't know if he's played Augusta before. He may have played last year, but this kid's got a lot of talent. He's got same thing with Batia. Batia reminds me of Bubba Watson. He moves the ball around from that left-hand side. Sure. And, lefties have a really big advantage at Augusta. So,
well, you'd have to explain to me what that is, what that big advantage is. Yeah, good players hitting it good have a big, but, if you hit it bad and you're left-handed, you're going to be in the same situation as if you hit it bad and you're right-handed. So, I don't quite go with that philosophy.
It'll help me out, Dan.
I tell you, the other guy that I think I would look at is Tommy Fleetwood, because I look at Fleetwood's iron game. I've never seen a guy finish shots in the correct position as much as he does. I mean, he's not afraid to hit it firm softly, and when you hit that ball and then just you watch where he stops here, he's very comfortable in those mid-range distances, which you get a lot of them, 17, 14, even your the 12 can cause that, but you'll get some of those 9 where you have to be able to take something off it, get the ball flight correct, take some spin off it, and really be able to maximize the use of the elevation versus spin concept. And I think he's doing it kind of as well as anybody right now. From when you watch him, he's got that firm hit, but yet that acceleration through the ball, but the ball's coming off very soft. And that's what I just tell people. I said, people ask me, I said, you know what? I hit the ball hard, softly.
All right.
And they kind of go, what? Well, it doesn't make sense. But
sounds like a John Wooden thing. Dan, it's all, play quickly, but not fast. That's what Coach Wooden
be ready,
used to
but
say.
don't be in a hurry. Yeah, I know.
That's right.
It's going to be fun. Like I said, when we started out, I think just the conditions that we are going to get there, or that they're going to see, is going to be so much different than what they've had to deal with in the past, that you may not have that big variation between morning and afternoon shifts. Because
that would be great.
Yeah, it would be nice to see a consistent playability, and with the sub-air greens and stuff, they can play a little bit with those in the afternoon. But it used to be you get overnight rain, and gosh, the early late might be 30% of the cut, and the other ones are 70. You just didn't know, or the wind come up in the late in the afternoon, and you're playing in it, and then you get rain, and then the next day it's wet. So the late early was always one that people wanted and liked, because you got to you go right from there, but it also could cost you.
Dan Pohl, we know one thing: it's going to produce a lot of drama, a lot of eyeballs, and a lot of conversation throughout the weekend. And then we'll follow up with you in the next couple of weeks. Hopefully by then the Pohl cat will be open.
I hope so. Go seniors. Get all those old guys on there. See how many of those guys make the cut. I'll feel good about it.
All right. That's going to do it for us here on Finding Fairways. As we like to say, find a fairway of your own, stick a peg in the ground, and pound it down the middle, hopefully at the Pohl cat. We'll be back with you here next week. Thanks to our good friends at Bay Mills Resort and Casino and the fantastic Wild Bluffs Golf Course.